Today's top stories. As the drug war intensifies, President Duterte urges the government to take a more active role in the anti-narcotics campaign. A newbie seeks to break the telecom duopoly as Mislatel emerges as provisional third telco player. The LTFRB is looking at a possible rollback in jeepney fares. And Gilas Pilipinas introduces its 20-man pool for the fifth window of the FIBA World Qualifiers.
Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Duterte says he wants the whole government to actively join the administration's aggressive crackdown on illegal drugs. President Duterte says he wants to mobilize the entire government's machinery in its anti-illegal drug campaign, and an anti-drug task force may also be created. Duterte bears this plan following the controversy at customs where some 6.8 billion pesos worth of shabu slipped past the ports of Manila last August. Meanwhile, Duterte defended his decision to appoint former AFP Chief of Staff Rey Leonardo Guerrero as customs chief. Duterte says he wants to place a military man and a few technical men at the BOC to eradicate corruption. October's inflation rate remains steady at 6.7%. Malacanang says it is actually a sign of a stabilizing economy. More on this from Rom Dulfo.
Inflation in October remains unchanged from September's 6.7% level. Presidential spokesman Salvador Panelo says with the inflation rate being stable, the government's current measures will continue to be carried out.
The same measures being undertaken by the Department of Finance and the Department of Trade as well as the agriculture sector. You must remember that we flooded the market with food supply. That's one. And then the Department of Finance said that they will be reducing the expenditure of the government, among others.
President Rodrigo Duterte's directive is to streamline procedures on the import of agricultural products, including rice. The president also wants to stabilize the prices of basic agricultural commodities and maintain enough supply. These standing orders provide protection for consumers against hoarding, profiteering, and cartels. The president is also reviewing the recommendation of economic managers to suspend another 2 peso per liter excise tax starting January. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The National Telecommunications Commission selects today the bidders for the country's third telco player. However, only one qualified bidder is left. More on this from Rom Dulfo.
There's a new player seeking to break the duopoly of Globe and Smart in the country. The government announces Mislatel Consortium will be the Philippines' third major telco player. Mislatel, which includes China Telecom, Udena Corp, and Chelsea Logistics, has been earlier chosen as the only remaining bidder for the new major telco player in the country. Sierra's Telecom Consortium of Tier 1 Communications and LCS group of companies owned by Ilocos Sur-based politician Luis Chavit Singson were disqualified earlier in the day for not having a 700 million peso performance security. The Philippine Telegraph and Telephone Corporation, or PTNT, was likewise disqualified for not having a certification of technical capability that would show that it has the experience on the delivery and operations of telco services for the last 10 years on a national scale. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The Parañaque city officials orders the transfer of all PUV terminals to the newly inaugurated Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange. Mayor Edwin Olivares says the city government will conduct a dry run for the gradual transfer of all terminals. PITX was constructed as a way to solve traffic issues along Redemptorist Road, Rojas Boulevard, and Coastal Road. The mayor also assures that there will be no colorum jeepneys that will operate at the PITX. The Philippine National Police says Mindanao crime rate dramatically decreased since last year because of martial law. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde says the crime rate in Mindanao dropped from 8.79% in 2017 to 5.92% in September this year. Albayalde says martial law strengthened peace and order through measures like checkpoints and military operations. The 6-month extension of the martial law rule in Mindanao is set to end next month. Malacanang announced a possibility of further extending martial law in Mindanao due to lingering terrorist and communist threats. The government announces gains in the fight against human trafficking. And the LTFRB looks into complaints about the new fare matrix. More on these and other news around the metro from Benj Bondoc.
Justice Secretary Miraldo Guevara reported significant gains in the fight against human trafficking and online sex abuse. This year, the Philippine law enforcement agencies rescued 90 victims, 72 of them are minors. Operatives held a total of 25 rescue operations all over the country, where 36 suspects have been arrested. In other news, the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board is set to review the 10 peso minimum fare hike. LTFRB Chair Martin Delga says there is a long-standing policy for a regulatory fee wherein PUJ operators and drivers have to pay a 610 peso fee for a fare matrix. PUJ operators and drivers opposed the said fee. The board has issued its fare matrix to over 2,000 jeepney drivers and operators in the National Capital Region, Central and Southern Luzon. Meanwhile, the government will launch the first Metro Manila-wide search for communities that are most climate and disaster resilient. The recognition aims to promote resilience-building practices to protect life, limb, property, and the environment from climate change. The search is under a government program called K5, Kilos sa Klima at Kalamidad tungo sa Kaligtasan at Kaunlaran. The formal recognition of the winning communities will be held on November 23. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondoc.
Still to come, LTFRB is looking at a possible rollback in jeepney fares, and the city official wants to close Baguio City for rehabilitation. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
This is Secretary Martin Andanon, and you're watching.
Nung secretary pa si the late Serge Rimonde, meron. Pero after that, medyo may hindi na masyadong active eh. Ngayon, si Secretary Martin ay parang binubuhay ulit itong mga activities ng media kasi gusto naman niya na ma-bridge ang gap between the government and the media.
I brought with me a sample of our commitment to strengthening the relationship between government and media. This is the first handbook on personal security measures for media practitioners, the do's and don'ts of how to protect yourself and your family.
It's really so thoughtful. No? I mean, to have one like this, which you can easily put inside your pocket, and then at the same time, always for you to remember that you have to be alert and at the same time know what to do in times of emergency.
I was also from the private media, and I know how difficult it is. Also, sometimes we have a good project, we have a good advocacy. Tapos then we need the help of everybody. So the PCOO is here to assist in whatever way you can. Just let me know how we can work together.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board is looking at a possible rollback in jeepney fares. LTFRB Chair Martin Delgra says a rollback to previous jeepney fare depends on its review of the current oil prices. They are also considering other factors such as inflation and the consumer price index. The LTFRB is also looking into the creation of a predetermined fare matrix so fares can be adjusted without the need for petitions. The LTFRB approved a 2 peso increase in the minimum jeepney fare from 8 to 10 pesos in Metro Manila, Central Luzon, and Southern Luzon. An economist highlights the possible gains that the country can get through government's Build, Build, Build programs. He says the economy can recover from its deficits if the government prioritizes its infrastructure projects. More on this from Miguel Hill.
With a massive infrastructure program, economist Chua Hakbin raises the need to prioritize projects that have greater potential to boost tourism and foreign exchange. He says the country's deficit on trade and current accounts are risks to the economy. Trade deficit last August hit $3.51 billion. Imports rose by 11% last August, while exports increased by 3.1%. The government has identified 75 priority infrastructure programs, most of which are roads, bridges, and airports that are seen to help propel the economy. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
The government is conducting another bidding to buy 500,000 metric tons of rice, and this will augment the country's buffer stock and bring prices further down. The National Food Authority reports that an offer from Vietnam and Thailand did not push through due to some provisions in the importation of rice. 203,000 metric tons of rice were not secured from Thailand and Vietnam. NFA Assistant Administrator Maria Mercedes Yakapin says she is not worried about the agency's failure to secure offers because the country has adequate rice inventory levels. Only 47,000 metric tons was awarded to 3 suppliers who offered price lower than approved budget. A local official wants to close Baguio City for rehabilitation similar to what happened in Boracay. Councilor Elmer Datuin says subjecting Baguio to rehabilitation will enable them to push for infrastructure developments needed to boost tourism. He said it's about time the government poured funds into the Cordillera and not just in Visayas and Mindanao. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat has also been eyeing the rehabilitation of Baguio and other tourist spots in the country after Boracay's 6-month rehabilitation. A high-ranking police with suspected links to drug dealers dies in a buy-bust operation in Dipolog City, and Dumaguete police start a cleanup drive. More on these stories from the provinces from Benj Bondoc.
Police and PDEA operatives shot dead a senior police officer during a buy-bust operation in Dipolog City. The official was identified as Superintendent Santiago Ilanan Rapiz, head of the logistics branch of the provincial police. Rapiz reportedly engaged operatives in a shootout after receiving a 50,000 peso marked money in exchange of shabu. The official was linked to 2 top drug dealers in Iloilo City and was also included in President Rodrigo Duterte's drug matrix. Meanwhile, the country expects a boost in tourist arrivals once Bulacan Airport is built. Bulacan Airport is seen as alternative to the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. The 700 billion peso Bulacan Airport is expected to yield around 12 million tourists every year. Higinto Mayor Ambrosio Cruz Jr. says the national government must first improve peace and order, level up businesses, and increase agriculture output to sustain and meet the needs of tourists. In Dumaguete, police will start making use of their calisthenics days to clean up the city. Superintendent Jonathan Pineda says instead of playing basketball, running, and doing other forms of exercise to achieve fitness, policemen will instead pick up garbage along the streets. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
Up next, SSS extends the deadline for the payment of contributions. Gilas Pilipinas introduces its 20-man pool for the 5th window of the FIBA World Qualifiers. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. The Social Security system is extending the deadline for the payment of contributions. The extension is implemented to accommodate members affected by the real-time processing of contributions. Household employers and individual members may pay their monthly contributions until the end of the year. The deadline of monthly contributions is on January 2, 2019, while contributions for the last quarter of 2018 may be paid until January 31. In foreign news, South Korea and the United States resumed their combined marine drills for the first time since they were suspended in June. The allies began the 2-week Korea Marine exercise program. It involves some 500 troops, including U.S. Marines from Okinawa, Japan. They decide to continue small maneuvers while suspending large-scale exercises. They also plan to conduct the exercise program 24 times next year. Seoul and Washington continue to suspend their major combined exercises, the latest being the Vigilant Ace Air Force exercise originally slated for December. About 18 PBA stars and 2 Gilas cadets will represent the country in the 5th window of the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. Gilas head coach Yeng Giao named the players to the pool of the so-called Gilas elites. Among the members are Gilas mainstays Jason Castro, Arwin Santos, L.A. Tenorio, Japeth Aguilar, and Greg Slaughter. Joining the pro stars are Ateneo High School's Kai Soto and incoming University of the Philippines player Richie Rivero. The Gilas camp will feature separate 2-game tune-up series against Jordan and Lebanon. Gilas will play host to Kazakhstan on November 30 and Iran on December 3 at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City. The Philippines is home to hundreds of islands that stand out as natural wonders. Occidental Mindoro hopes to tap its potential and become a sustainable tourist destination. Maricor Zapata has this story.
Occidental Mindoro offers more than awe-inspiring views of rice fields and mountain ranges. The town of San Jose, for one, is more than just a transit point for tourists heading to Coron in nearby Palawan Island. The first-class municipality in Occidental Mindoro has the Manati Island, locally known as White Island. It is fringed with beach corals and papaya whip-colored sands. On another island, the Ilin Island, stand 2 Catholic churches, one of which is the Santissima Trinidad Church, which is believed to be miraculous. Tourists can also spend their afternoon at the Inasakan Beach, in Sitio Maniraga, with its fine ivory white sands. Another worthwhile destination is the Tamarao Gene Pool Farm, home to Mindoro's iconic animal, the tamarao. Not to be missed in Occidental Mindoro is the Mimaropa Festival, to be hosted in Mamburao, the provincial capital, this month. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Before we end today's program, we would like to inform everyone that our former PNA reporter Sammy Martin has passed away. Martin served in the Philippine News Agency as reporter from 2013 until 2017. He covered all areas from Police Beat to Malacanang. He also wrote for the People's Journal Group, ABS-CBN, and Manila Times. Martin's remains lie in state at the Funeraria Paz, Araneta Avenue in Quezon City. The Philippine News Agency extends its condolences to Martin's loved ones. Let's take another look at today's biggest news.
As the drug war intensifies, President Duterte urges the government to take a more active role in the anti-narcotics campaign. A newbie seeks to break the telecom duopoly as Mislatel emerges as provisional third telco player. The LTFRB is looking at a possible rollback in jeepney fares. And Gilas Pilipinas introduces its 20-man pool for the fifth window of the FIBA World Qualifiers.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And it's 47 days more to go, and it's already Christmas. That's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm PRRD. Good day.